God's blessing to you as we continue our season of prayer series. My name is Ben Hom, and I'm the other youth minister for the Hamilton Catholic Pastoral region. I would like to share with you how prayer brought me to the Catholic Church. I was raised in a Protestant family. My mom and dad always went to church every Sunday morning and Sunday night and every Wednesday night, but we never really prayed together as a family unless it was like before meals. And like when I was a kid, I would have prayers before I went to bed, but nothing really much as a family. But going to church there, I never really felt like I was at home. Always just felt like I was just going to church. But I do remember one time I was probably like maybe 5 or 6 years old. I told my mom and dad I didn't want to go to church, and I remember my dad getting mad, and my mom kind of like diffused the situation. But I still ended up going to church and kind of just went to church with my parents, not because I was made to or forced to, but just because we all always went as a family. After my dad had passed away back in 2002, I kind of just fell away and never kept on going to church with my mom. But I was always kind of like praying to God for me, for myself, and for Him to send me a good woman, one who would see me for who I am. In 2006, I met Randy, who is now my wife, and everything was going really good and whatnot. And within like a month and a half, on July 4th, 2006, I asked her to marry me. Still wasn't going to church at the time, and I remember we were talking one time, and she asked me, she's like, oh, why don't you come to church with me? And I was like, oh, okay, we can do that, and we can go to my mom's church. So we went to her church, and it was at Holy Name in Trenton, and I just felt, during Mass, especially during the Eucharistic prayer when the priest holds up the body and the blood of Christ, it was Father Klein. It was just like all the light bulbs went off my head. It was just like a shock and amazement of just the true presence of the Eucharist was there, and like how I had always believed that the body was the body and the blood was the blood. It wasn't just a symbol like my church had believed. I guess that would go back to like how my dad raised me, because he was actually raised Catholic and fell away from the church, but he always told me it is the body and the blood. It is the true presence. So from there, the next week went to my mom's church, and I wasn't just really feeling God's presence there as I did at Mass, which Mass is a prayer as well. So after that, I kind of asked Randy, I was like, oh, I want to start coming to church with you, and I want to start receiving communion and whatnot. She's like, oh, well, there's like a whole process you got to do. It's called RCIA. You need to get involved with that. So I did in that fall 2006. I started going to RCA, and her grandma would pray with me all the time. She would give me books to read. Her grandma would. One was like Lamb's Supper by Scott Hahn. Another Scott Hahn book was Rome, Sweet Home. But just having her and her Randy's and her grandma's support, like praying for me, all that stuff, it just really it made me understand like what it was to be Catholic, because they were always there for me. So in April 2007, all my prayers were answered, and I was received fully into the church. And just from there, just the overwhelming feeling after receiving my first communion when I was 24 years old, it was just like a shock. It was just like, this is, not only was I just praying for a wife or for a good woman to fulfill, my lifelong goal of being married and whatnot. It was just, God kind of answered my prayers in more ways than one. He answered my prayer, and He gave me a good Catholic woman, but He also answered my prayer of a deep down longing to find a home in a church, which something I'd always kind of wanted. I never really felt like I was at home going to my parents' church, but he answered my prayer in more ways than one. Show me the beauty of the Catholic Church, show me the Mass, all the saints that we were blessed to have, the novenas, adoration, which is like one of my favorite places to go, and like also confession. I remember my first confession and just being able to go in there and just pour my soul out to the priest and him able to like, give me advice and absolution, and to be able to go and do my penance, say those prayers, and just how it was just like a whole effect system. Like I just seeing like, I saw the truth and I saw the beauty of how the Catholic Church was. But going back, so I was me and Randy got married in the eyes of God in April 2008. She's probably going to kill me for that. But like I said, God just answered my prayer to just be able to find a good woman, a good Catholic woman who has her grandma and grandpa's support. And that's just how prayer has blessed me. And to remember the words of St. Alphonsus, the one who prays will be saved.